Welcome to New York's number two sports show. The New York Rangers trade Reilly Smith to the Vegas Golden Knights for the San Jose Sharks 2025 third round pick and prospect Brendan Brisson. So Reilly Smith is back with Vegas, where he really had his most success in his career. He was a part of the original Vegas Golden Knights, who in his first year they reached the Cup final and lost to the Washington Capitals. And then in his last year with Vegas, up until now, they won the Stanley Cup, and he was a big part of their success. He was there for 6 seasons and really kind of tailed off with Pittsburgh last season. He then gets traded to the Rangers in this offseason, and it was a very, you know, I think Reilly Smith's career as a Ranger is one that will not really be remembered much. It wasn't very long, and again, there just isn't really much to say. He was okay. He wasn't great. I'd say he was like better than Blake Wheeler last year. The hope with him was that when he was brought in, that he would fill the spot next to Kreider and Zibanejad, and that did not happen. And that wasn't all to Reilly Smith's fault. Obviously, we know now. Things are totally different. Chris Kreider, his future is uncertain with the team in general, and it's been a rough year for him. And then Mika Zibanejad's not even playing center anymore. He's at right wing on JT Miller's line, and then Reilly Smith was someone that was a pretty killed penalty. I think with him this year, he was on the second power play unit, but he was I think he was paired up with Vincent Trocheck on the penalty kill, who was a former teammate of his with the Florida Panthers. So I think for Smith, this makes a lot of sense for him to go back to Vegas. I don't want to say that it felt inevitable, but if I had to guess, okay, where would he go? And he sat out the last 3 games, as the Rangers tried to facilitate a trade here. And when you see it's Vegas, it's not that much of a surprise. And I think I wasn't so privy to this, but apparently I don't think he was thrilled by the fact that he was traded from Vegas to Pittsburgh. I think that bothered him a little bit. I think he always wanted to stay in Vegas. And now with him becoming a free agent at the end of the season, we'll see what his future holds, but he will be with the Vegas Golden Knights as they look to try to get back to the Cup. And again, the one thing with Reilly Smith, and look, he's getting older now. He's been in the league for a bit, but he is someone that has had a lot of success in the playoffs. Just looking at the numbers, he is someone that performs and does have the skill set and can play in all situations that it makes sense. But for the Rangers, trading him was kind of a no-brainer, right? Especially after the Ryan Lindgren trade to Colorado with Jimmy Vesey involved. For the Rangers to keep him around wasn't really something that was in the best interest of the team. They would rather see what young players can do and give them an opportunity, because the drop-off isn't enough where recouping some assets was worth it. So let's talk about what the Rangers got back here. And originally, when the Rangers got Reilly Smith from Pittsburgh, they traded away a 2027 second-round pick and a 2025 fifth-round pick. And Pittsburgh retained 25% of Reilly Smith's remaining salary. So it was like a $5 million deal. And of that $5 million, Pittsburgh retained 25%. So for this one, the Rangers, for what they got back of that, they're retaining 50% of Reilly Smith's contract. So that comes out to a little less than $2 million. I think about $1.875 million that the Rangers are retaining. And the third round pick they're getting back is actually San Jose's. That's important to know, because San Jose right now, they have the worst record in the NHL. So there's a very good chance, that's going to be a high third round pick. It might even be the first pick of the third round or thereabouts. So I was hoping the Rangers could get a second round pick, but knowing that it's San Jose's, again, that's basically as high as you can get a third round pick, plus Brendan Brisson. So let's talk about Brendan Brisson for a moment. He's actually the son of the agent, Pat Brisson. But he was a former late first-round pick in 2020 by the Vegas Golden Knights. He actually was on the 2021 U.S. World Junior team with Brett Berard and Arthur Kaliev. But Brisson is a center. Now, whether, if he becomes an NHL regular, will that be the position that he stays at? I don't know. right? He's a little undersized for a center. I mean, but the Rangers kind of lack center depth in their organization, so it's a good thing. He is 23 years old, so he's still a prospect, but it's kind of time for him to show what he can do. And right now, I'd say his value is kind of at its lowest. So Brisson was someone that there was a lot of high hopes for, and really put up some impressive numbers in the AHL for a while. I mean, um, had a little bit of a taste of the AHL in 2022 and had 8 points in 7 games. Then in 22-23, in 58 games, had 37 points. Then last season was a pretty good year for him on the surface, where he plays 15 NHL games and puts up 8 points. Now, he only plays about 12 minutes and 20 seconds you know, per game, and then was at -5, right? So what you can just tell here, and again, I don't have much of a scouting report on him, but you can tell obviously that he is an offensive minded player. Defense may not be his thing. Um, and so, no, actually, I take that back. So the 58 games and 37 points, yeah, but that was 22-23. Last season, in 15 games at the Vegas Golden Knights, the NHL level, puts up the 8 points in 15 games, and then in the AHL, 52 games, 38 points. Again, these are pretty impressive stats. But now let's go to this year. It's pretty bad. Um, in 9 games with Vegas, no points, was a -3. And then in the AHL, 45 games and only 19 points and a -24. Um, and I think that Henderson Silver Knights, I think they're a pretty bad team, right? So that could play into it, but a really, really distinct drop off. So his value has dropped. And so, look, chances are Brisson may not amount to anything. And he will report to Hartford, right? He's not going to be with the Rangers. Could he be on the team by the end of the year? It's possible. He probably could be one of the first guys that would be called up. He last played in the NHL on January 24th. Had a couple of games on the 23rd and 24th, and he's been in the AHL since. But the question is, what would you have preferred if it was even possible? Like just a straight second round pick or a high third and Brisson? The return's pretty solid. Again, if you could have somehow fetched a middle of the second round pick, I think that would have been nice. But again, at least here, Brisson, there's a chance that maybe, a change of scenery can do him some good. And that number one pick in the third round is not nothing. So now that gives the Rangers, not believe it or not, 9 draft picks in this 2025 draft. And that is assuming that the Rangers lose their first round pick. And if that's top 13 protected. So the Rangers finish better than the top 13. In other words, they make the playoffs or they just miss. Then that first round pick goes to Pittsburgh this year. So I guess there is a chance they could have 10. I would honestly, for many reasons, prefer that the Rangers lose that pick this year, make the playoffs, or and then you have your first round pick next year. That'd be my preference. But again, you're looking at least 9 picks. Now, what also could happen, because there is still, one more, less than 24 hours to the trade deadline, and then you also have potential deals that could happen before the draft. I would expect the Rangers to maybe trade one of those picks. I wouldn't be shocked knowing how they operate. But it is nice now that they have a bunch of assets. It's the way it nets out is, I believe it's 2 picks in the third round, 2 picks in the fourth round, and 2 in the sixth, I think is what it is. Which, again, it's pretty good. It's not so high value, right? Because you don't have your first round pick. It's just 1 second round pick. But again, having 2/3, one of them being as high as this one is not bad. And I was concerned about that. And look, I think the Rangers still, I'd like them to sort of get back draft pick capital for 2026 and 2027. I still feel like they're a little bit lacking there still, but it's great to see that, you're not turning the whole team over and yet you're still getting back what you lost. Case in point, this Reilly Smith situation where, yes, you did give up a 2027 second round pick and a 5th round pick this year as well, but you were able to get back a third and a prospect. And so it kind of makes sense to me. And so now what happens from here? Is this the last move of significance by Chris Drury or not? And for whatever does happen from here on out until this trade deadline, which again, as I'm recording this, less than 24 hours away until the deadline, it will be something that we don't know for sure that will happen, right? There's really no more unrestricted free agents that'll be dealt, right? I'm not counting Calvin DeHaan they just got. They have traded away all of their UFAs that you figured would be moved. So now it happens. And Chris Kreider is a name that I keep on saying that is one to look out for. I don't think he'll be traded, but that would be the one that I could see. And then beyond that, I tend to think that the Rangers actually may, if they do make a move, it may be one of a buyer's type move. Nothing crazy, but maybe a depth move where they trade away one of those 9 draft picks that they have this year. Um, so it's tough to say what'll happen. I'll say that Drury probably makes maybe one more deal that may not be super significant if it's not Kreider. Again, just to kind of improve the team a little bit. A team that, is still trying to make the playoffs and is right in the thick of it. So we'll see what happens. But again, Reilly Smith back to Vegas. Not a huge shock as far as where he goes. And, it's a good fit, obviously, for him. And, didn't really work out with the Rangers. He wasn't awful, but he certainly wasn't great. And he is, really kind of winding as his career. It's winding down at this point. He's not the player he was, but maybe there's a little bit of rejuvenation going back to a familiar place in Vegas. And so the Rangers, in return for Reilly Smith, again, they acquire San Jose's 2025 third round pick, as well as prospect Brendan Brisson. So we will see what happens from here. Again, less than 24 hours until the trade deadline, but for the here and now, the Rangers have traded Reilly Smith to the Vegas Golden Knights.